So E3's been over for a while now, but we finally wanted to get to doing a video just to kind of conclude what we thought E3 was like this year.
Yeah, we're not going to be doing the full list of everything that happened, even though this pretty much was one of the best E3s ever.
Yes, everyone did what they wanted to do, and all three of the main three just did very well.
Yeah, in fact, this is one of the most content-dense E3s.
Yes.
We had, I think, 8 total press conference events?
Yes, we had a lot of press conferences to cover. Some of them were longer than they should have been, but we got a lot of coverage.
Yeah, so let's start with what happened. So first on Sunday. So on Sunday we had the Smash Bros. Event with a bunch of new Smash Bros. Announcements.
New characters, Ryu from Street Fighter was in the game.
Very surprising.
And all of it was coming out that day, which surprised all of us.
Yeah, I thought that there was going to be some interspersed release schedule, but nope, it was all at once, which makes me think that maybe in the future they're going to do content dumps like that for Smash Bros. Rather than intermittent issues over time.
We also had Bethesda's first press conference. Fallout 4 was the real thing they wanted to talk about. They also had Doom, which was nice.
Doom had a lot of shooting, a lot of death. My big concern, of course, is that when you have a game where you have automatic animations of grabbing things and ripping their arms off,
it gets tiresome.
It gets tiresome, especially since you, like in actual Doom, you're just running around shooting and running as fast as you can. In fact, in the higher difficulty levels of Doom, you pretty much have to run.
You can't fight. Again, I bring up Fallout 4.
Yep,
Fallout 4 was we think was the reason why they did this.
Yeah, I think that next year might be a question as to whether they have enough content to justify its own press conference, but this was clearly for Fallout 4, and rightfully so, because there's a lot of content. The building your own abode.
The new
Pip-Boy
edition, which was really cool in my opinion.
Yeah, they even had Fallout Shelter, which was a new mobile game, which was released right then and there, and it's actually making them quite a dime so far, my understanding.
Also, they also announced that they're working on the next Dishonored, which was, I think, leaked. And then,
it was leaked out, yeah.
Yeah, but they also announced that they're making a definitive edition for the original Dishonored, which has the DLC campaigns and stuff put in there. So that was pretty much Bethesda. A very good job. In fact, we thought it was a very well done conference, and really raised the bar for everyone else that was happening after the fact.
And even before then, we had Nintendo with their World Championships.
That was fun.
It was really fun. Kevin Pereiro, I feel, was a vastly better host than
Jeff Keighley.
Jeff
Keighley's good for certain events. He just wasn't good for that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it definitely sold people on Super Mario Maker. If anything, what they showed, those stages, was just crazy. Blast Ball was a big question mark.
We'll get to that in a moment, but actually the thing that I thought was really surprising was they announced that Earthbound Beginnings was coming to America.
They should have actually changed the name at least a little bit on the actual game.
Well, originally it was called Earthbound Zero when it was first leaked to the public, but now it's finally out for the Wii U, so everyone's was really happy about that. It was really a shock. No one saw that coming.
So at this point, best E3 already.
That was just Sunday.
That was just Sunday. Monday, Nintendo has the Indies at Home event where they have 9 indie games that you can play, these little demos, which is the first time I've ever seen Nintendo do something like that, which is really nice. But that wasn't where Nintendo was pretty much on the sidelines this day.
Yeah,
it was all about everybody else. Everybody else except for Nintendo and Square-Enix, pretty much.
So Microsoft was first.
Yes. Microsoft, we had guessed, was going to be focused on trying to get people to jump to them from Sony, which they actually really did.
And the big theme, which we were right on, was we have IPs. They focused a lot on old as well as new IPs. They first started with Halo 5 Guardians, showing off some single-player campaign. It looks as though it'll be squad-based, where you actually can have people jump in through online multiplayer, and I think that's why there's no split-screen multiplayer.
And then, of course, they went from that to announcing a brand new IP with Recore, which is interesting because it's Armature Studios making a new IP. Didn't show any gameplay, which is a bit of a shame.
Yeah, but we're good to see that the Armature is actually making a new franchise of themselves. I would like to see them progress in that direction.
And it seems interesting because they set themselves up for the current year, 2015, with an exclusive third-party game with Rise of the Tomb Raider, which we showed an interesting demo of them climbing ice, and we got
no stabbies, which I was shocked.
We got to see some first-party games with Halo. We got some Forza Motorsport 6 with the GT coming down from the sky.
What's going to do next car?
Next year's car is definitely going to have to step up its game. We also got Fable Legends, which seemed like the kind of pushed to the side. Nobody really talked about that.
I think we've heard too much of it, and it should be out by now.
Yeah, and they also mentioned there's a Gears of War Ultimate Edition, which is essentially a remake of
the first one for the Xbox One, and then they showed off Gears 4, which is taking on more of a horror aspect rather than the run and gun aspect we saw from the first game.
Yeah, so the developer Black Tusk, the guys who made that Shang heist game with the guy shooting through the building with a cool gun, they turned to the Coalition, which is just purely making games in the Gears of War, much like how 343 Industries is just making Halo games.
Overall, also, we forgot one big thing.
We forgot a big thing, yes.
Rare. Now, we were like, well, maybe Rare's going to make a new game. Instead, they gave us Rare Replay, which is for $30, is 30 of Rare's greatest games. In fact, all of them except for Nintendo IPs games, like Diddy Kong Racing and Donkey Kong Country are not part of the collection. But it's got Viva Pinata for the Xbox 360. In fact, it's got all the Xbox 360 games on it. Yeah. And it has Banjo-Kazooie, Banjo-Tooie, and then it has even the older games like Jetpack for the arcade and Battletoads. $30 for 30 games, and these are not like small games. These are
some of them are small.
But yeah, these are definitive. These are definitive games from Rare, and the fact they're giving to us was more of them saying, "We got here, you guys out there. You want our IPs? Here, have all the IPs you can eat." And then they announced a new IP, which was Sea of Thieves, which is an MMO game where you play as pirates, and the art style is just really good looking.
The water is top notch. Is the best way to put it.
Now we don't know how the game is going to actually play out, but again, it looks nice. I'm not a big fan of MMOs myself, but that's why they gave us Rare Replay.
Also, only major developers talking about indie games in their press conference.
Yes, we felt that this was just kind of strange and compared to last E3, Microsoft really dedicated a large portion, like 10-15 minutes, just talking to indies, having indies come out, like Cuphead.
Cuphead's the one we always keep on mentioning.
Because I just like
we had style. I think there was Ashen,
and
there was also Nothing Seen.
I can't remember.
Can't remember exactly what it was, but essentially it's a blind girl walking through.
Really beautiful.
It's really beautiful.
Also, they did show off. They didn't talk about Kinect at all.
Not a bit.
They did talk about HoloLens, and they showed off a Minecraft demo, which was their Minecraft idea.
Yeah, Minecraft.
And it actually looked really cool, except it's not really what you'll see when you wear it. But it still looks really nice.
They also had an early access setup called Xbox Game Preview, which allows indie games and other developers to bring out games ahead of time to be played and be shown.
And also, there's also a new Xbox controller.
So a lot of stuff Microsoft did, and I think it did pretty darn well for itself.
Well, one thing we liked about it a lot was that it covered the current year and the future years. It did a nice breadth of content saying, listen, right now you can get great stuff, and then in the future you can get great stuff. And so everyone won in that one.
EA, it's hard to say.
EA was so heavy on the sports. Last year they just showed us tech demos. This year they actually showed the games.
Yeah, last year was kind of like a work in progress for what this one became.
Yeah,
we got to see some good games too in the mix. I mean, everyone was waiting for Star Wars Battlefront to be shown off.
And they showed that. I think it was the last game they showed.
That was in fact the very last game they showed.
They did show off. Another game they called Unraveled.
Which
was like doesn't look like it's not EA, but
no,
it was here.
It's an indie. It's like an indie developer that was acquired or is being helped funded by EA, and I'd argue it's one of the most charming games that was shown to you through this.
Yeah, it's a little yarn guy who can swing across his yarn self, and he leaves behind a trail of yarn as he walks. It looks really good, and it's interesting because this is the first time you have a yarn character in a realistic setting with like rocks and water, and it's really interesting. We also saw another garden warfare game. This time the zombies are actually the good guys, and
the main characters
are the zombies. Then we also saw
Mirror's Edge.
Thank you. It's apparently not really a sequel, but it's kind of like a prequel remake.
I'm guessing it starts earlier than the first game does, and then recreates the world as it goes.
Yes. This time you will not be able to use guns at all. This time, if you have a gun, you dismantle it and you drop it immediately. It's open world. They're saying. Then again, we've seen that not be the case for a lot of games that say they're open world.
It's guided open world.
And was there anything else from EA? I don't think so.
I feel like got most of it because Pele talked a lot.
Oh, Pele. Look, last year we had Powers talk in Sony's conference for 8 minutes. This year we had Pele talk for 8 minutes in EA's conference.
I think he talked longer. It almost felt like
it felt like way too long. And I understand he's a great soccer player, but unfortunately we in America don't really have that much love for soccer.
Yeah, and there was also the mobile game segment in the middle of all that, and then they ended sport. They essentially had sports in a huge chunk, and they filled it with mobile games and Mass Effect. I forgot about that. Oh, so let's get Mirror's
Well,
Edge.
technically, it was more of a teaser.
Yeah, it's a teaser.
We just got it's a guess. We're making a new Mass Effect.
It's called
Look forward to
Mass
it.
Effect Andromeda. Expect it next year because we have nothing to show this year.
So that
also,
was
no Criterion Games game. You noticed that?
Yes, it did. There was also a Need for Speed.
Oh yeah, there's also Need for Speed. EA, very disjointed. I think it was one of my least favorite of the conferences.
It was
this
poorly
year.
laid out, and sports was sports.
I mean, we mentioned some good games in there, but it was the least.
It was a drag to watch.
Yeah. Ubisoft was kind of odd.
It was also not well put together. I felt that the host just wasn't that good.
Aisha Taylor,
she didn't do very well this year.
She's done pretty well the last 3 years she's been on. This year, I don't know what happened. Part of the oddity about it is that they had a lot of emphasis about how that they're people too. I think they had like a bit of an opening discussion where they're like saying, "Hey, Ubisoft is really good at making games because we're people about making games." And
well, we don't deny that that Ubisoft makes games or not. We're denying the fact that they make games that are playable when they come out.
Yeah, which is I'm guessing this is a response to the negativity that grew with Ubisoft over the release of Assassin's Creed Unity, and they wanted to try emphasize that. Notice, of course, that when they showed off Assassin's Creed, they showed no gameplay footage whatsoever, despite being in 2 conferences.
Yes, they just showed off CG trailers, and CG trailers was something that we saw a lot of, which was it was unfortunate given this day and age.
Yeah, well, we got to see the announcement of a new South Park. That was fun.
Yeah.
They dropped a lot of swearing. There was a lot of F-bombs
that was
dropping this year.
Across E3, I think only
Nintendo
and even Square-Enix.
I think Square-Enix may have said it once.
But every single one of them dropped like the F-bomb, and it's like, this is kind of unprofessional, guys. I understand you want to be cool and hip, but you can be cool and hip without having to drop a swear word once in a while. It just felt odd.
Yeah, but back to Ubisoft. They actually brought out a new IP very early in the press conference because Yves Guillemot will be like, "I want to talk to you about this new IP early."
We wanted to wait for the surprise at the end, but we want to show it now. But I was on to him. I was on to him. Now, anyways, this new game, For Honor, it's kind of like Dynasty Warriors, kind of like Bushido Blade, where you're fighting a bunch of random people, then also you come to like the generals or something.
Yeah, and it becomes like an actual fighting game
where your every move matters because it was nice looking.
Yeah, and as a note, this is actually being directed by the guy who directed Red Steel 2.
He looks like a boss.
And the guy walks out with a cane. You think he's an actor for Game of Thrones or something.
But no, he's not. He's a game programmer.
He's a game designer. And so definitely gory game. I totally expect it. I'm not sure what the breadth of the game is. I would like to see how they intersperse the different eras because they showed in the teaser trailer. They showed all these different eras of people fighting each other.
Is there like some kind of time travel mechanic? Yeah. Whatever it is. We really have to see more of it because it didn't show off too much of the game.
They had a full demo though, so that was nice.
Yeah, that was nice.
Now, while we talk about the new IPs that Yves Guillemot came out with, the second time he came back out was the very end.
Yes, the very end.
When he's like, "Oh, no, we tricked you. We have something new to show you," and they showed a teaser trailer / gameplay trailer of Ghost Recon Wildlands.
This is supposedly going to be an open world game where you get to solve missions your way, be wild card and blow things up.
Be stealthy. Building explodes as you walk away. That's not stealthy, guys. It just isn't stealthy.
But either way, there's different options.
That's subtlety. That's the
and I actually like that idea that we want to make it so you can tackle missions differently. I hope that they actually make it matter by doing it differently, as opposed to the buildings explode every time.
I mean, they had the Division. We haven't mentioned the Division.
The Division's been at E3 for 3 years now. I'm over with it.
But the loot, Tony. The loot.
They really emphasized the loot system in this because that's what the new environment they wanted you to show off as you walk in this area where no one can help you or something except for people online. And then, it's just about loot. It's about randomly generated loot.
I was expecting there to be like a Watch Dogs 2, and there wasn't any of that.
No, there was not.
But next year definitely will happen.
There was also...
Rainbow Six Siege.
Yep,
I remember that.
Siege was a big thing they were pushing. They kind of mentioned there was like some kind of single-player campaign-ish thing, and I don't know, it was weird. There's like a certain amount of scenarios. And I can't remember exactly what it is, but it was... I understand Siege is a multiplayer game you're supposed to play online, and apparently you're supposed to deal with hostage situations.
They had obviously a Just Dance moment, where they talked about how the current-gen systems are going to have now a subscription-based Just Dance game, where they're able to actually get as many dance songs as they want
using your mobile phone.
Yeah, using their mobile devices rather than.
And there's that the Just Dance streaming thing they were doing.
That's exactly what I just told you it was.
Just shows how much I was paying attention to what you were saying.
Because it's Just Dance.
It's just
Now,
dance.
before, now, what do you think is the most awkward part of this whole event? Was when you should tell her.
She was sitting down with the cosplayer and just like, why are you here? Because they paid me to come.
Because they paid her to be here.
Okay, moving on.
Ubisoft had this kind of disjointed feel, like it was kind of like not in the right order. I think that them continually coming off the stage did not do it any favors.
They also had to keep saying that what they were playing was on console.
Oh yeah, best thing, Trackmania Turbo.
Yeah, and
because it's Trackmania,
and they kept saying everything you're seeing is, or whenever they play a game, this is on console. Like, okay, is it a developer console? Listen, we know that you guys tricked us before. Don't just stop tricking us. Just tell when you do it, do it.
Anyway, that's Ubisoft.
That was Ubisoft.
Then came Sony.
Wow. Now, Sony had actually talked about less games than Microsoft did.
Yeah.
But what they talked about, the announcements they made, were earth-shattering.
Yes.
Mainly 3 of them.
Yeah.
First off, they started the conference big by talking about The Last Guardian. And we're like, this is what you're starting your conference off with? And it wasn't a trailer. It was actually a long gameplay,
it was a gameplay demo.
I'm worried about how much more of the game there is, because apparently it's only been in development since 2014.
2012, 14?
12, 13. But because they had the director who had left Sony developed his own team and then was contracted to help finish the game. So that's what they're doing right now.
Yeah, one of my concerns about the game, I was looking at it, is that how is the game? Is it open? It can't really be open if you got these like enclosed spaces the whole time, but it can't be a linear adventure, can it?
Pretty puzzle game.
Also, since you're dealing with an AI creature like the Guardian itself, you have to rely a lot on being able to react to it, and so there's the chance that the AI will play against you. But then again,
by the way, it did look almost like it was the same game. But maybe that just shows how good it was when they first showed it off.
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to seeing more of that, because that game shows that being it's alive was what I wanted to hear.
Now the second big game announcement was Final Fantasy VII Remake. Now Final Fantasy VII Remake.
the way they announced this was they first started talking about, well, we're going to talk about a franchise that everybody wants to see, and talk about Final Fantasy Worlds. I think it was like
World of Final Fantasy.
World of Final Fantasy, other way around. And basically, it's a PlayStation Vita, PS4 game where you play as these heroes who can turn chibi and turn these monsters from big to chibi, and you can ride them, or they can ride you, and it's a cute little RPG.
I honestly don't know what the game is.
People are like, yeah, it's Final Fantasy, okay, move on. But then they showed the live stream behind on the screens, and they're like, by the way, we got another game that everybody who has a PlayStation wants. And then they show off a CG trailer of Midgar being remade, and
then they show Cloud and Barrett walking,
and then it plays the usual musical tones. It says, and it shows the symbol of it, and then remake, and everyone just lost their minds.
And yet, everyone with Final Fantasy VI is just shrugging really hard right now.
Where's Final Fantasy VI remake? But
we've only been waiting. Final Fantasy V hasn't been remade either.
I think it has been. But one thing that has to be of note is, unfortunately, the dark side of this is we don't know anything about this game. They say it will deviate from the original story, and also that...
Don't expect Aerith to stay alive. Just saying that.
But one thing is that they didn't tell us a date for it, and they didn't tell us a date for any of the other games that Square-Enix has in development right now. So this game is definitely a long way to go.
Yeah, Nomura, who was directing Final Fantasy 15, he left the project around September-ish.
To start working on
this, probably.
So this has only been in development for about half a year.
For about a year-ish.
And now, granted, they already have the general structure of how the game will be, because it's a remake.
Unless they decide to full remake it and go full real-time Final Fantasy 12 action
adventure. It plays like Kingdom Hearts kind of gameplay, instead of actually like what it's supposed to. And that could be completely different.
That would be interesting to see, though. Imagine the whole concept of Final Fantasy 7, except it plays like Kingdom Hearts.
Let's not question that.
Yeah, no, and the third
one came out. Well, right after that, they showed off the only indie stuff.
The Devolver Digital. And then came the third big one, which came in the form of a Kickstarter.
Yes.
Not really a game, so to speak.
But Shenmue 3. I'm just going right to it.
Oh, you're just going right to it?
Shenmue 3. That was what everyone wanted and has been asking for a very long time, and that's exactly what we got.
Yeah.
Well, kind of.
Not entirely.
They asked for $2 million and they got it in one day, which is impressive. But then we found out some other things about it, like that Sony's actually behind some of it, which is strange.
Which is because they said right there, like, yeah, it's not our project, but then they go on to say like a week later, oh yeah, we're kind of helping with it. In fact, they go on to say on the record that they're hoping people will pitch other games to them that they'll then create more Kickstarter campaigns. So that's not the same thing, guys.
Kind of defeats the purpose of what Kickstarter is. Same thing. But they also said to actually get the game that everybody wants, they really need $10 million. But they wanted to start out with just giving out $2 million, and they got up to like I think it's nearly $7.
Nearly $7. Like
and
6.3, 6.6. Can't remember.
Well, but they got a lot of money for it. So yeah, those three were the big pillars. Now it's kind of funny how they ended it after the fact. Well, they ended after that, like, oh, but we have this one big game that comes out next week, and it's big. It's Batman. And
Batman actually sold very well. So
it was fine.
It wasn't like a
but like it was like you're following Batman up after Shenmue. It's like this doesn't work.
They had to start something in there, and so
now for other games that they did talk about, they talked about Horizon Zero Dawn, which looks really good.
Yeah.
It's like a prehistoric, not like post-apocalyptic world. Yes.
You can't say that word. It doesn't work.
I don't know why. But there's robots that are dinosaurs. It looks really cool.
Now that game didn't have any date attached to it. So
unfortunately,
the two games we just mentioned beforehand, chances are you're probably not going to see that until at least late 2016.
Yeah, but it looked really good.
It looked really good. On top of that, we also got some montages and little things here and there. Like, no mention of Vita whatsoever.
Nope,
the legacy system.
Poor Vita.
They ended it on Uncharted 4.
Yeah, we all expected that.
Yeah, which is the only gaffe, by the way, that happened, and that was because when the developer walked up to play the game, there was no controller on the demo unit that was currently playing the demo.
So it's like, guys, just no controller.
So he walked over. So anyone who was watching from home didn't see him, but he actually walked to the other system on the stage and started and booted the other demo on that one. And that's when they switched it over.
That's why I replayed the intro again. It looked good. The banter's still there. I am concerned that there's new writers for it now because the old writer was basically left because she was kicked off for the next.
She left. Yeah, she was, I think, fired or something like that.
But what happened was the Last of Us writers took control of the game, and I'm concerned that because the reason they took control of it was because, well, they're award-winning now, and
we're award-winning all
the Last of Us is serious. For me, Uncharted should be more funny, like Indiana Jones, and I think that's what I really liked about it was it feels like Indiana Jones.
Of the big things I was concerned about for Sony's conference at this point was that Sony's conference of the three big ones kind of threw a ball and said, "Look over there, there's all our games. Follow the ball next year, late next year."
Yes, and from looking at the big three, Sony was the furthest looking wave beyond what was this year. Anything that comes out this year, they barely covered.
Yeah.
And they didn't talk about the God of War 3 remake. They didn't talk about, well, Ratchet & Clank comes out next year too.
Yeah.
But they didn't talk about any of these games that are coming out this year.
It's mostly third-party games.
Even the Nathan Drake collection they didn't talk about.
Yeah.
Instead, they just wanted to talk about the stuff coming out next year and the year after, and the year after that, depending on how long it takes to make these games.
I mean, they did throw in third-party games that are coming out.
Well, yes, third parties come out this year, but they're coming out on other platforms. The big thing what Sony is saying to people right now, which is we were right with their theme, was stick with us. There's a great games coming, but again, what this counters with Microsoft saying is we got games good now and later. So Sony focused too much in the future, not much on the current.
I think so. Yeah. Oh, and Dreams looks creepy.
Dreams. It's creepy.
So then we go to Tuesday. Nintendo and Square-Enix, and also at the very end, this 3-hour of PC stuff, which I won't talk about because it was boring as all get out. It took forever. I understand the show was an idea concept. That it's a good idea. Shrink it up a bit.
Cut it up.
Don't have interviews all the time in the mix. It just makes it boring. Almost like a talk show. Good first attempt, though. Then so back to Nintendo. So Nintendo started us off. Square-Enix actually won at the same time, and they ended up delaying it because of that. The digital event
was different.
I love the puppets.
Yeah,
the puppets were great.
Last year we had Robot Chicken do the puppet, the characters.
This time year it was Muppets.
It was Muppets from Jim Henson. And they looked great, and they transformed. In fact, that was what they were saying this E3 was about transformations. Because this is technically a transition year for Nintendo because they're prepping for the next year where they're going to talk about mobile, NX, and what else they're working on.
More Amiibo
stuff. But they actually said that outright, saying, listen, we're not going to talk about NX, we're not talking about our mobile stuff, we're not talking about that until next year. So this year was about what was coming up right now. Amiibo stuff, like they announced that they're working with Skylanders, bringing Donkey Kong and Bowser to it.
Which is really neat looking design.
And also they're bringing... They're going to do more Amiibo, like there's a new Animal Crossing Amiibo Party, which is free to download, by the way, but you can buy it in stores that come with the Animal Crossing Amiibos.
And then they also had Happy Home Designer with the cards, which, by the way, it's interesting to see that we have these two different side games for Animal Crossing that are all just Amiibo-based.
Well, apparently they said they actually wanted to do that because they wanted to just make Amiibos for them.
They probably shouldn't have said it that way.
They probably shouldn't, no. They also talked about... the new Metroid game, which was a huge controversy.
I'd say of all the games that were Nintendo showed off, this was the game that got the most flack. And of course, the big thing is
nobody talked about it.
The problem is Nintendo did it wrong. They talked about it the wrong way. They didn't frame it. They didn't talk about it saying, oh yeah, it's got a single player mode. No, they talked about it's a squad-based shooter.
And they showed them less than a minute of gameplay. The trailer was very short, and you couldn't play the single player on the show floor.
This is the definition of showing a game too early.
Basically, it was strange because they had a nice discussion about Yoshi's Woolly World.
Yoshi's Woolly World.
But that game's already out. And so people were like, why are you talking about this? Why couldn't we hear more about Metroid?
She was a really good speaker, though, at a one-on-one.
They showed off, again, both Fire Emblem games. The Fire Emblem If, which is now called Fire Emblem Fates, as well as...
Fates, and then there's also that Japanese one. They're both Japanese, but this one in particular doesn't have a name.
Hashtag FE, whatever it's called. They also showed off that again in a trailer.
There's a new Zelda game for the 3DS.
Yes, a new Zelda game. They didn't show off Zelda Wii U, as we said already, but they showed off a new 3DS Zelda game, which is like 4 swords, except it's 3 characters instead.
Yep.
It's online, it's local multiplayer, and there's a single-player campaign. Can't play with 2 players, though. Kind of disappointing in that regard.
Yeah.
But there is you have to do battle mode, they said.
Okay.
But the idea is costumes. Your costumes affect your play, which is interesting.
Yeah, we played a brief demo on the Saturday of E3, and I would say it's a lot more doable if you're playing with people who actually know how to play and actually communicate. When we played it with complete strangers, terrible.
Yes.
So it's a game where you kind of have to play. You get to play with people you know.
And then also they also talked about. Mario Maker. Obviously, it was a big thing.
Mario Maker is going to be Nintendo's biggest game of the year. Between showing off at the Nintendo World Championships, the multiple times it was shown at Treehouse Live, and then also being in the major focus of this digital event, it's a fun game.
It's fun, and people said after playing it, they downright can't wait for it.
I'm just kind of annoyed that.
There was one game
we kind of oversold it, and we did miss a game.
Yeah, we did. A big one. Star Fox.
Star Fox Zero.
Star Fox Zero being co-developed with Platinum Games. They're working on the art aspects of it. Apparently they are... it's a remake of the first game. It uses
a retelling of the world.
You can transform. This is the transforming aspect of the whole conference. You turn to a little raptor vehicle. You can go inside buildings and destroy cores. It looks nice. It looks a little bit like not as crazy hectic as Star Fox 4 but it looks more like there's a lot more you can do in it.
I kind of wonder if the reason why they're not being so crazy is because they want to use emphasize the motion controls a lot more. So if they want it to be easier for people who use motion controls.
Yes. And then there was also a new Mario and Luigi RPG.
Oh, yeah, with Paper Mario.
Crossover Paper Mario.
I don't know what's going on. I really don't want that. I really just want a Paper Mario game.
But we'll take what we can. I guess. It was not, again, as compared to all 3 of them, again, Microsoft focused on the now and later. Sony worked on the later, Nintendo just the now. And that actually didn't do well in their favor because a lot of people wanted to see later.
Now, of course, that based on the games they've announced, I think the first quarter of 2016 will be pretty darn good for the 3DS.
Xenoblade Chronicles X.
The holiday season for the Wii U was kind of already known. So at this point, it was a very expected conference for Nintendo, or other digital event, with, as I predicted, mostly announcements on the 3DS side. People probably wanted more like true major new games. Instead, we're getting mostly side adventures.
More like B titles, or titles that are offshoots, not official mainstays.
Yeah, but nothing really stands out as really bad.
Nothing were bad.
The only game that really gives people a lot of heebie-jeebies is Federation Force, and that's because of how long it's been since we got a real Metroid Prime game.
Or Metroid game, period.
And I think that having framed that a lot better, as well as maybe the Mario and Luigi game and Zelda.
Also, people are really unhappy about Amiibo because Nintendo can't supply the Amiibo they need to play the Amiibo games they're showing off.
Mm-hmm. And to that point, Nintendo did in fact miss a few things. One of the biggest things we missed was Devil's Third, which we, right at this point in time, we're finding out the game is pretty bad.
It's not as good as everyone was hoping for, and they also didn't show off the new Fatal Frame title, and I think that's because it's a rated M game, and they didn't want to change the stream to M.
Now, it actually was on the Treehouse Live. It
Yes.
was actually shown for like a half-hour stint. And it's actually interesting to see how many games they talked about at Treehouse Live. Once again,
more indies, more
they talked about both LBX and Yokai Watch, which we didn't even mention. Yokai Watch was there. And they also talked about games that weren't playable on the show floor, like the actual squad-based missions of Federation Force. How can you expect...
Instead they had Blast Ball.
I'm starting to get ranty here, but how can you expect Federation Force to be well accepted if the only thing that's playable is Blast Ball? That's not getting people's attention.
I don't understand it. I think that it's too early. I think they
announced it too early.
They're going to show it off later, and they just wanted to get people excited for a new Metroid game.
Of all the games they announced, I think that's the one that's going to get delayed. All the games with 3DS, those could all look like they're pretty close to being finished. This one, delay it until June-ish.
Give us what we want.
make a good trailer of the first the first player mode game, and then we'll talk.
And then after Nintendo came Square-Enix.
Yeah, so Square-Enix was more of an actual press conference than any other buddy here.
It wasn't there for show. It was there to talk to the press. It was depressing.
No,
it was
sterile.
It was boring.
It was sterile.
It wasn't exciting. It was just them saying, "We're going to show off some trailers. You're going to like them, and then we'll move on."
Yeah, they had a podium. They read off of
cards,
not cue cards, but the teleprompter. It was pretty well done. They went through it all one at a time. Just Cause 3 looks awesome. How could they make Just Cause 3 look boring? I don't know, but they did.
It's because of the monologue.
They announced a new project with Platinum Games.
Platinum Games is getting around this year.
There was a Nier 2, or a Nier something. They kind of like warbled the text. Yeah. And they had the director show up, and the director was wearing a gigantic orb.
Which is kind of funny how everything was so serious toned.
Yeah,
and he walks out with this face, and we're like, guys, I don't think is he in the right conference? Am I in the right conference?
Atlas is over there. Why are we here?
Is this life?
They showed off a new area of Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yes.
It was Tangled.
Mm-hmm.
It looks really
beautiful.
nice.
In fact, the game just looks really fun.
Still says now in development with no hint of a release date.
And they showed off the Final Fantasy VII trailer again. And no mention about Final Fantasy 15. Again, my concern with Final Fantasy VII and everything is that nothing else has gotten a release date. Kingdom Hearts 3 and Final Fantasy 15 are both up in the air when they're coming out.
It's really hard to find out what exactly Square Enix is getting out at what time, because they keep on announcing these big projects and
they don't tell us anything else but that.
Yeah, so if I were to say anything, I would say that probably Final Fantasy 15 is first, followed by Kingdom Hearts 3, then
Final Fantasy 7.
Then Final Fantasy 7.
What they need to do is release if they can put all the effort into making all these great games and make one game fast.
Oh yeah, that's called Bravely Second, which Nintendo's publishing. Oh, the Dragon Quest games. Oh, the Dragon Quest Heroes was shown in some sort of brief moment during this press conference as well.
Hitman. We completely missed Hitman.
Missed Hitman. It was in Sony's conference and in here. But here we actually learned what it was. It's essentially a digital download game, and that over time they're going to give you new missions. So it means we don't know exactly how it's going to work, but they say it's not like a normal, not like freemium. So maybe it'll be good, maybe it'll not be. It's hard to tell anymore. Everyone keeps on saying they're not bad, and then you realize, oh wait, no, they have monetization right there.
Yeah, it's not the greatest.
Now, they did announce, this was one of the interesting ideas, that they actually created a new developer in Tokyo to specifically create a new JRPG franchise, completely separate from Final Fantasy. Now, at this time, I would like to say Bravely Default kind of fits in its own category. It's definitely got ties to the Final Fantasy franchise. So this should be completely opposite. Completely opposite.
Maybe they'll make a new Mario RPG with Geno.
Maybe they'll make it.
Maybe Geno will come back.
A new Secret of Mana game with Geno as the main character,
or an actual fun Secret of Mana. Come on, where is that?
It just got
Bring
dropped.
Bring it.
We're bringing it down.
I want to play a good one.
So and then that kind of ended Square Enix.
So let's do a quick rank of how we felt each of the conferences was.
All right, so Bethesda I think is like an A-. It was
good. It was well paced. for their first conference, I give them a good ranking.
Yeah, it was very focused on specific games, but did a good enough job to keep people's attention throughout, and I think that makes it pretty good. There was very low time.
And of course, they gave everybody something who was there.
Yeah.
So it's even like, well, it's late. Here's something for your troubles.
Then we had
Microsoft.
Then we had Microsoft. I'm going to give Microsoft a B+.
Yes, Microsoft gave us stuff that's coming out now and down the road, and talk about new IPs and old IPs. They pretty much they talk about indies and AAA titles and third parties. They covered the gambit. They talk about technology. I think they just did a really good job this season.
Yeah,
they came in swinging.
Yeah, maybe that would be even too low. I might say if I would put Bethesda at A minus, they would be around one little rank lower than that. Then EA, I'm sitting at a C.
Yeah, I'm seeing a C as well. Maybe a C minus because of that long payload.
They did a poor job of pacing it. They had some good games in there, and they definitely were just holding a carrot in front of us while they were of that.
Oh, we're almost just everything. I think like partway through, like we got 5 more games until Star Wars, guys. Keep your pants on.
And everyone's like, my pants are already off. I don't know what to do.
It's too late, guys. But the point is that they kept saying, guys, it's coming. It's coming. Just hold on.
Yeah,
you really don't need to tell us that. You just give us the games and let's move on.
It didn't help us out any. And Ubisoft, I'm going to give a C+, B minus. They have the games to push for. They have the games.
Yeah.
But they didn't have the really. They had good announcements, but they didn't really put it out well enough to get people's attention in my eyes. Then you have Sony. I guess as a press conference, it's got to get an A+ or A at this point.
Because they gave the announcements that people wanted to hear. These were the announcements that are the games everyone wants, and everyone wanted to be announced.
The conference was like one of the best conferences of quite a while for Sony.
But it was strange how little they talked about.
Yeah,
it was actually rather strange. But we still give it a high score because they gave us what we wanted to hear.
Yes. And then
Nintendo.
Nintendo, as the digital event itself, I'm going to give a C. A C+.
Because they did a poor job telling us what we needed to know. And a lot of the whole premise I got from it was, well, we'll just reiterate it at the Treehouse Live.
Yeah.
But that shouldn't be a crutch to use.
This actually ties very much similar to E3 2012 for them. They started off really strong with Pikmin 3 and ended it with kind of Nintendo Land and then a firework.
But they didn't end with a big hit.
This is the same exact setup. Start off with Star Fox, a brand new look at an IP that people haven't seen for years, and then end it with Let's Super Mario, a collage of people making videos of Mario music. That was a very bad way to end it because it was so boring of a way to end it. Because usually people end with big hits, and this was not.
And what's strange is that, from what we know of what happened earlier on Sunday, if they had announced that the Earthbound Beginnings was coming out, like right after that, it says, by the way, there's another anniversary coming up, Earthbound Beginnings, and they say, oh, by the way, we're bringing Earthbound Beginnings to America. That would be that one announcement that would help balance out the whole conference. A big announcement and a bigger announcement.
Yeah.
But they didn't do that. They instead announced it before everything. It was kind of weird.
Now, if we were to consolidate everything that Nintendo did over the course of E3,
I'd still give it like a B-.
I would say B. I would say solid B, B+ even. The Nintendo World Championships could have been done almost no better than what they did. The Nintendo Treehouse Live did great about covering all the games they possibly could, and they even had a downloadable service for the Nindies at home and the Smash Bros. Content, and had the Splatfest made it out, it would have been a great sandwich. I would say that all told, other than the fact that they did a terrible job with framing a bunch of the new games, they did a great job. So yeah, B is where I'm sitting with Nintendo overall.
Okay, and Square-Enix?
Square-Enix is a B. I give it a B because they had announcements that people wanted. They were a bit boring, so it was kind of tugging toward the B- area in my eyes. But they had announcements that also were mysterious, like the new Nier game and the new announcement of a new developer. They had stuff, and that's what I really wanted to see from Square Enix. Announcements, the biggest problem with them right now is no release dates.
For anything.
For anything.
They really need to get down on that. They keep announcing more things to get people excited for them, but you got to release what you've already announced.
Yeah.
It's time for you to start doing that. Sony won the C3 with the announcements.
Yeah.
Microsoft won, I think, in terms of how much they talked about. And Nintendo, like everyone won either E.
Yeah, I would say this is an E3 that unless you were a big Metroid fan, or a Zelda fan wanting to see Zelda desperately for the Wii U, I think they did everyone did pretty much a really great job. You have to obviously look at it from to take a step back to get a lot of this, but a lot of companies were on their A game this year.
Yes.
Some of them did it wrong with some of the way they framed it, and they didn't do a great job saying what they actually wanted to say. And
they did later,
but they did later. Overall, if you liked any video games from all these, you're gonna have fun. A lot of the games I saw that were shown by everybody looked like it was going to be a fun experience to play.
And so now, once again, E3 is over. We must wait on till the next E3.
We got other stuff ahead of that, though.
Oh, of course.
Plenty more things to come up.
Gamescom, I think, happened, right?
Gamescom is about to happen, I think. But I don't know if Nintendo's going to go.
No, probably not.
But Microsoft's not going to Gamescom either, is it? No, Microsoft's going to be there. They're not going to Tokyo Game Show.
Yes.
Hell,
like, they're talking about a lot of things there, like Scalebound and
Quantum Break, and
so those games are talking about there, and we're like, okay, so yeah, they're not gonna be there.
So yeah, that's E3. We probably need to get working on a lot of other videos since we're now still a month behind.
Yeah. Let's get started on that.
Yeah.
Until next time, I guess.
Yeah.
See you later.
Game on, everybody.
E3.